Chapter 2. The Attack. Lila was very surprised, but her father was not. He knew that the robots could change into humans and would get their colors when the time came. In fact, he knew many things about them. "Turn back to your original forms, please," the scientist said in a slightly excited tone. Looking confused, the two changed back into robots. "Okay, Saberclaw, show me your arm," he continued, gesturing towards Saberclaw's arm. She leaned down and lay her arm in front of him. She didn't know what was happening, but she trusted her creator. "Saberclaw, you and Lockjaw were both given built-in weapons for battling the aliens. I want you to close your optics and focus on a weapon in your arm." Saberclaw didn't know what the so-called weapon was, but she did as he commanded anyway. A sheet of metal draped over her optics as she focused on the thing that her creator wanted. She seemed to realize that she indeed felt her arm changing rapidly. Metal moved, folding into other pieces of her armor, allowing new and unknown metal to be in its place. Saberclaw felt raw energy and power flow into her newly shaped arm. She opened her eyes, and what she saw shocked her. She had a large blaster in place of her hand and half of her lower arm. It had two barrels, one on each side. Each glowed with electric blue light that radiated its danger. Another blaster identical to the first formed on her other arm, replacing her hand. "Wow," Lockjaw said, admiring Saberclaw's blasters with curiosity and a little bit of jealousy. He focused on his arm with a glimpse of hope that it would do the same. And sure enough, it did that exact thing. Not entirely, however. Plates of metal shifted on his hand, causing it to become the shape of a single barrel blaster. The singular barrel of his new blaster also glowed dangerously as a second one formed on his other arm in the place of his hand. His eyes lit up excitedly as he smiled at his new guns. The scientist smiled slightly, but realized something. "Oh, I haven't told you my name yet, have I?" Lila rolled her eyes at the fact that her father had forgotten. "Well, my name is Sam Carolee, and it is nice to meet you." He bowed at the robots, and they, confused by the gesture, bowed back. Mr. Carolee laughed. Right after he did this, a small device that was attached to the wall started vibrating and beeping wildly. Mr. Carolee's head snapped towards the device, and he started speaking. "Oh no, that device detects foreign life signals. That means..." The right wall exploded, interrupting the scientist. Debris flew everywhere and blasted the bots and the humans backward. Flames engulfed the hangar, and Saberclaw looked up just in time to see her. A large being, not as large as Saberclaw, but still much bigger than a human. She had mostly humanoid head with a wide, bony, and horizontal crest on the top of her head. She was clearly an alien, but her clothes were almost like they were part of her blue-gray skin. She had a sheet of metal covering one of her eyes. Her cheekbones were defined and her eyebrows thin. Well, her eyebrows were more like really short tentacles. She had long tentacles coming out from under her long dress like freaky legs. Saberclaw was sprawled all over the floor, but that was the least of her problems. She looked over at Lockjaw. He was unconscious. She also turned over and saw Lila and her father with multiple deep cuts with red liquid pouring out of them. They were also grunting in pain. Saberclaw also realized that she and Lockjaw were leaking something too. It was like the liquid that was coming out of Lila and Sam, but it was blue. It seemed the more of it she lost, the more tired and weak she felt. The alien looked right at her as more extraterrestrials that looked different than the first rushed in. The female alien yelled to the others, "Don't take the green one. It is too powerful. Take the blue one." Roughly 5 of the 20 aliens in the hangar grabbed Lockjaw and hoisted him above their heads as they walked out behind the female. All the rest of the aliens in the room followed their leader, who was obviously the female. As the leader walked out, she turned and looked at Saberclaw, who was now a little more conscious. The alien's eyes were purple and full of anger. The alien's body language also told a story of pain and wrath. Saberclaw would have fought, wanted to fight for Lockjaw, but her body wouldn't let her. She tried to get up, but couldn't move past her neck. Her head fell back to the ground, and everything turned black. Saberclaw opened her eyes again. There was a bright light that felt like it blinded her. But after her vision focused she saw Lila hovering over her. "She's awake!" Lila yelled excitedly as Saberclaw sat up. "What happened?" she asked, confused. Lila frowned and asked, "You don't remember?" Saberclaw looked around. She saw the debris lying everywhere with many people in bright orange reflective vests walking around cleaning up. She remembered now. "We were attacked." She trailed off as she remembered the sight of the female alien and the flames engulfing everything around her. She remembered Lila and her father's blood seeping out of them. Lila frowned and looked at the raw scars. "Yeah, we were. But we're okay now." Saberclaw remembered everything about the attack, except for Lockjaw being taken. In fact, all memories of him were no longer inside her head. Lila and her dad didn't remember either. She looked at her body and was surprised. She remembered her large cuts and pain ripping through her, but none of that was present now. "Where are my cuts?" Saberclaw asked with genuine confusion. "You have scars, but I don't." Sam walked up to Saberclaw and sighed. "We fixed you. Robots like you can be repaired, but humans have to heal. However, if you look closely on your legs, you do have scars." Saberclaw looked at her body closer. She saw little scars scattered on her legs. Sam gestured towards the pile of rubble just outside where the wall was. It still was stained with the blue liquid and Lila's and her father's red liquid. "The hangar is no longer safe for us. Even the workers are terrified of you." Sam's words seemed to awaken Saberclaw. Now, she saw the faces of the workers. Their eyebrows were furrowed in a way that made them look scared, and their lips were tightly pressed together. They would speed walk past her like she was radioactive. "But I wouldn't hurt anyone," she said with a slight quiver in her voice. "We know that, but everyone else doesn't. We see a hero, a helper, but they see a dangerous war machine. That is why we must keep you hidden. They will hurt you if they get the chance," Sam said without meeting Saberclaw's optics. She sighed sadly as the realization dawned on her. She looked at her large metal hands and thought of how easily she could hurt humans. Saberclaw finally added, "They have every right to be afraid of me. I can kill them so easily." She locked eyes with one of the workers, and he ran back to the pile of rubble quickly. She was filled with a feeling of helplessness. She really wanted people to like her, but she knew that they would never trust her. Lila gave a sympathetic look. "Don't worry, Saber. It doesn't matter what they think. You're awesome and will probably save their lives anyway." "Well, we still need to figure out our headquarters situation," Sam inquired as he gestured to the pile of rubble and the blast hole in the wall. "Right," Saberclaw started as she stood up with a little bit of struggle. "Who in world attacked us anyway?" She gave me chills just looking at her, and I was literally on fire. Saberclaw was obviously angry, but was curious as well. "I don't know her name or what she is, but I do know she is not from Earth and is obviously hostile," Sam answered, "not to mention powerful." Saberclaw clenched her jaw. "It doesn't matter who she is, I want to kill her," Saberclaw stated with fury. "Saberclaw, let's think rationally here." He tried to calm her down. "However," she continued, "what do you mean rationally? She blew us up." Saberclaw was shaking with rage now, but she controlled herself enough to not punch a wall or scare the humans any more than their current state. "Saberclaw, there is a key detail within the tragedy that will help us out. When the extraterrestrial arrived, before she blew us up, my emergency foreign creature detector went crazy. This means we can probably track her." He looked at Saberclaw with hope in his eyes.